Screens are addictive.
It's a bit like England at the Euros. We're just still waiting for it to arrive.
Oh, I can't believe you'd even suggest that to people. What, to try something for 2 weeks, see if it helps your child? I'm flipping heck, sorry.
We all have gifts and talents. Let's find them, discover them and use them.
Yeah! Hello and welcome to our channel, Here We Raise. Before we get on to our 9th episode, we would like to ask you to subscribe if you like us. Or like and subscribe and comment and share. Now to the episode. Hello and welcome to the Here We Raise podcast.
It's good to be back with you all. How are you all doing in this lovely wet July?
I know. It's raining a lot.
I know, it seems like we whinge a lot about the rain, but to be honest, this summer has been absolutely atrocious.
Yeah. But is it because we live in Scotland? No, it's been the same in England.
Yeah, apparently it's been the same everywhere. Conspiracy, cloud seeding.
Ooh. I keep getting these videos on Instagram actually that says, I'm a conspiracy theorist, and because of this, I think blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what am I Googling? Because it keeps coming up on my Instagram all the time. But I didn't even know cloud seeding was a thing.
No, I didn't either. We Googled it, didn't we, the other day? And I was mind blown. And it's like not even a new thing. It's been around for like 100 years or something ridiculous.
They can control the weather. But why would they want it to rain? Look, if I was, I don't know, someone who could cloud seed, I wouldn't do it. Give me some sun. I've said this before, I need vitamin D all over here. I don't need water. I've got a shower. I need sun that I cannot get in the shower. I need proper heat.
I know, we just had Alex's mum and younger sister come up and stay with us for the last week or so.
Oh, it was so much fun.
I'm sure they'll be listening. But yeah, they were both whinging as well about the heat and the lack of sunshine. They need to warm their bones.
Yeah, but genuinely I feel it. I don't just say that. I feel it so deep in my bones and my soul that I need heat. My body tells me I need heat. And I chose to live in Scotland.
I think it was about 25 degrees in here the other day when we were cooking with your mum.
Yeah, it wasn't warm enough.
And you're all like, oh, it's a bit cold.
Still got like dressing gowns on.
And I was genuinely hot and sweating and disgusting.
But I don't know. I just need heat. Maybe we should just move.
How would that even work? We'd need like, what is it called in a car? Dual climate control. So, you can have the passenger seat that's like one and the driver's seat that's another.
Did we not have that in our last car?
Yeah, we did, but not in this one.
All right, yeah.
Hence why we always have the battle for the heater or the air conditioning on.
It's not really a battle, I control it.
I just don't get why you have to have the air conditioning on regardless of the weather at any point of the year.
Right, no.
It's because the air is so wet.
It is. If I'm in the car and the air conditioning is not on, I can tell the air is wet. I want it dry. That's what I want. There's no harm in that. Yeah, I know it's not a big problem, but you brought it up. I'm just saying. I need the I don't need the air conditioner on. I like it. I like my dry. I've got our 3-year-old constantly asking us when summer's arriving.
I know, bless her. It's a bit like England at the Euros. We're just still waiting for it to arrive.
But saying that, how many times have they been in the final? 3 times?
Twice, I think, in the history of the Euros.
No.
I think it's twice.
No, I know football. It's 3 times.
I'm sure it's twice.
Oh my gosh. If I am right now...
I think it's been the semis quite a few times.
I am going... Well, semi-finals.
Yeah, semis, quarters.
I said finals. Come on, Google. Oh, yeah. Participated in 2 previous finals. Yeah, you're right. Well done, moving on. Well, you're a man. You should know your football anyway. You should have been more confident. Alex, I know it's 2. It's not 3. I know it's 2.
So it's the summer holidays in the UK. The kids are broken up for summer. And it's always an interesting time of year, isn't it, darling?
Yeah.
We've already been through the whole fiasco of getting out the paddling pool from last year that is always just gross and minging, that needs washing and cleaning.
Yep.
And we spent a good hour finding all the bits, cleaning it, trying to blow it up. I feel like my head was going to explode trying to pump air into it. Mm-hmm. And the kids went in it for all of 5 minutes.
I think it was 7.5.
Okay, 7.5 then.
Yeah. But what can you do? It's just kids, isn't it? But yeah, why did they do this to us? Why do they beg us to go and find something in the deepest, darkest room, to get it all out, to set it all up, to then playing it for literally 5 minutes?
It's a really fun one as well. It's got a tiny little blow-up slide in it.
It's got dinosaurs. It's from Smith's Toy Store if anyone wants to look it up.
Yeah, and it's got like a big dinosaur ring that goes over the top of the slide. You plug the hose pipe in and it sprinkles water down.
But the water is freezing cold, and to be fair, by the time we actually had got it all set up, the sun had disappeared. Saying that, even though they only spent 5 minutes in it, James tried to save it. He got his trunks on and was willing to go in the grassy, muddy pool to try and keep them in it for longer, and it worked for about 2.5 minutes.
The problem is it's one of those kid slides though, isn't it? I sit at the top and my feet are dragging on the bottom already before I've even slided down on my bum.
But when I asked the children, what was the best part of your day? Including going to a farm to see some animals and slides and blah, blah, blah.
Not just some animals and blah, blah, blah. What did we see? Do you remember?
Wallabies.
We saw some wallabies, a baby wallaby.
Why does that sound so funny? Wallaby.
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 And we saw, I think it was some emu, like a little ostrich. They were really like
But they
kind of weird dinosaur looking creatures.
They are absolutely disgusting. Our eldest son would not step foot in there, and I was trying to convince him, but then when I saw the faces on those emus, I was like, don't come in. Because he doesn't like birds, and to be fair, I do not like birds, but when I saw those, I kept my cool for the girls because they wanted to come and have a look, but I'm like, that is going to wrap its neck around something and kill something.
Like a boa constrictor.
I'm kid you not. Did you see its neck?
It's not going to use it like a snake attack.
How do
Wrap
I know?
its neck around
Look,
you.
if I see anything with a beak, I don't trust it, unless it's a chicken. I don't trust it. Yeah, think about that time when...
An emu like a boa constrictor.
Why is that so hard to believe that it might feel... I don't know,
It's
it might
not like
feel
Tom
like...
and Jerry, like a cartoon.
I don't know, it might not like the colour that I'm wearing. It might be red and it sees blood and thinks danger and it wraps its neck around me and gone.
I'm pretty sure they're harmless if anybody's had any interactions with emus.
Look, I did not like the look of them. No. Don't even think about asking to get any emus. I'm telling you now.
People have peacocks as pets, don't they? Have you ever seen a peacock? Quite cool, but they're really noisy.
Are they cool? It's just the
Yeah,
colours.
they've got a huge fan of colours on the back. Typical woman, it's the males that have the big fan of feather colours on the back. She's just not impressed.
But those emus,
And alpacas.
Alpaca's the one that goes...
I don't know, I think more of llamas when I think of that.
What they said was the favourite part of their day was actually the paddling pool.
Even though they're only in it for 7.5 minutes.
How bizarre is that? I
Yeah.
just find that crazy. Summer holidays, eh?
Moment of silence for parents in the summer holidays. Moving on.
Since our 3-year-old has been asking, when's summer coming? We just keep saying, when we go on holiday, you will actually see summer. So just hold off and wait. They are absolutely buzzing to go on an aeroplane because they haven't. Well, I guess one of them has, but they ain't going to remember that because it was when they were a baby. But it is a 10 and a half hour journey.
Yep.
I'm a bit nervous, but we've got enough family there that I think it'll be fine. And we're just absolutely buzzing to go. Like the kids are so excited.
We're going to the big USA.
USA.
Big family holiday. And included in it was going to Disneyland. Which is crazy.
I can't scream because they're in bed, but that was like us during the match, wasn't it?
Yeah, every time they scored it was...
Yeah! Anyway, yeah, we're so excited. I can't wait. Just get me out of here. Let me go.
No, it's one of your core memories, isn't it, Disneyland?
Oh my god.
I've never been to a Disneyland.
Right, my favourite bit about Disneyland when I was a kid.
Moment of silence for all the children that haven't been to Disneyland like me. Moving on.
Anyway, my favourite memory as a child going to Disneyland, I loved the rides, but I think my core memory was probably seeing all of the characters, like all of the princesses and even like the other characters. And I've still got it, my Disneyland autograph book. and they signed, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I went to school afterwards and I was like, look, I actually met Ariel. And yeah, that's my favourite thing. And I remember going home and sitting by, because obviously you go from America where it's sunny and nice, and then you come back home to England where it's, you know, raining. We had a little gas fire, and I remember sitting by the gas fire on the rug and just looking through it with all the signatures in and just being like, so I'm buzzing. I just can't wait for the kids to experience that. We're so lucky. So lucky to go.
I'm really excited, but I'm a bit nervous.
About what?
About the rides.
Oh, because he gets sick now.
So my history with roller coasters, I was a complete and utter wuss when it came to theme park rides until I was about 14, something like that.
I didn't know that.
And then, I mean, no, darling, I've never been scared of anything.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, I just didn't like them at all. So if we ever went to the fair, my older brother would be on the big rides, getting the thrills. I'd be on the hooker duck trying to win a spacky goldfish that probably died a day later. Anyway, but yeah, I just can't hack rides anymore, which just really annoys me. So didn't like them, loved them when I was like 14, then kind of had this massive splurge going to theme parks tons when I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went on my mission for a couple of years, came back, and then I think we went to Alton Towers.
Yeah.
When we started dating.
Scarefest, bro.
And then some point after that, I think it was when we went to Blackpool, and I went on the, whatever that disgusting, old, horrible, minging, gross failure of a ride that's this really old wooden roller coaster.
What's it called?
Is it the Big Dipper?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I just
it's not
felt
even that bad.
Horrible. And ever since then, honestly, just like a couple of spins, I'm like, bleh.
And that was so unfortunate that happened during Blackpool, because that was when I first found out I was pregnant but didn't want to tell anyone, because we found out like, I don't know, 3 weeks before or something crazy, maybe 4. And I was like, well, I'll just be able to hide it with, you know, James can just go on all these rides and I'm not really bothered. But then he wasn't going on any rides. I wasn't going on any rides. And I bet my family were like, why did you even come? What's the point? But can't you take like an anti-sickness tablet?
I don't know. I hope there's going to be something, because I don't want to be suffering not being able to go on the rides with the kids. That would be rubbish.
I'm excited to see everyone. I'm excited to spend time with everyone. And I think I'm most excited because like a majority of our family from this side of the pond is going over there as well. So we all get to spend time with each other, and that's like not happened in, gosh, I don't know how long.
Long time.
So excited. Anyway, if you've got any tips for flights with kids, if you have got any tips, send them our way. Because I'm definitely overthinking it. I'm like, how did they do it for 10.5 hours? I think they'll love it at the start and then realise it's like a lifetime away. They're going to be like, what the heck?
Yeah, 10.5 hour flight with children, not much space. I've no idea how it's going to go.
I'm sure it'll be fine though.
Well, we'll have to see. At least there's going to be some grandparents there.
Actually, to be honest, that's a good thing.
I'm so excited though for the kids to see an aeroplane in the flesh, rather than up in the sky being like, oh, look, an aeroplane.
Yeah, and then actually going on one and heading up in the sky.
Something we've been talking about recently, and considering how our routines go in the morning, I suppose it's more important, isn't it, when we've got school and stuff running on, but it's the atmosphere that we create, especially for our son, if we're trying to rush. Come on, we've all been there, haven't we? We know the exact scene. Come on, kids, get your shoes on, Come on, we need to go. Come on, brush your teeth now, let's go. Come on, get your coat on. Come on, in the car, put your belt on. No, don't talk to me. Come on, blah, 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 blah. All that kind of stuff. So we've actually started to think a bit more about, really, is a lot of that necessary for the sake of, you know, even when you do push to get things through on time, it only ever seems to make a couple of minutes difference, and then those couple of minutes really worth the potential to cause everyone a load of aggro and stress.
Well, I think the way I've thought about it is, how would I like it if someone spoke to me like that? Like, it doesn't make you feel good, and it's probably not even going to make you go any faster, but you're going to feel pretty rubbish, aren't you, if you're being told that you're not being quick enough. But I think it can be so easy to do it as a parent, because like you're aware of time and kids really aren't aware of time, so they rely on your awareness of time to get them to places on time. That was a lot of time in a sentence. But yeah, I think it just can be so easy, because time just gets away. You know, especially in the mornings, it's so busy. It's like breakfast and then getting clothes out and getting everyone dressed, and then also giving them time to like play or read books or whatever, and then packing bags if you need to, then getting shoes on, everyone in the car, brush teeth, blah blah blah. But it seems like that time just goes so quick.
Yeah.
So it can be so easy just to be like, it just runs away, and then before you know it, you're like, flipping out, we're going to be late. Right, come on, get out. But yeah, creating that atmosphere is just not helpful. It just makes things so much worse. And we're not perfect, especially me. I'm not perfect at all, because I like to get to places early, on time, but preferably early, because I don't like the rush. I don't like to rush. So that's why I try and do things earlier, but it always seems to be that with young kids, you end up rushing if you want to be anywhere early.
Yeah,
or on time.
I think it's just adding 5 minutes. If you think, well, I need to be out the door by 8:30, and then at about 8 o'clock you're starting to think, right, I really need to help everyone get ready for the day. I think it's about thinking, let's do that 5 to 8, 10 to 8. Really, it doesn't make a massive difference, but in the end it does, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you get down to the last few minutes, how do you want everyone to feel by the time they get to where they need to go to?
Yeah, and you want them to go and have a nice day at school or whatever, which there's a risk that they won't. Not that they won't have a nice day the whole day, because they'll probably forget about it, but there's a risk that they might not go in as comfortable as they would have done if we hadn't, rushed them.
Yeah, I mean, it was just this last Sunday, wasn't it, when we were going to church? Mm-hmm. So we have responsibilities at church, and sometimes it means we have to get there earlier than probably would get there. We had Alex's mum and younger sister staying with us. The kids were sat right in the back of the car, the third row, and getting them out. Obviously, you have to unpick them out of the boot and move seats and stuff. And our 3-year-old had dropped her bracelet, hadn't she? And we were just quite keen to get on time to do what we needed to do. And she was like, I want my bracelet. And she was just adamant about that. And then our son got upset because everyone was getting kind of upset. And then they had a bit of a tussle, didn't they? And I think how we reacted, we were quite sharp with them and reprimanded them both, weren't we? And they, stop hitting and don't do that, come out here now. And then it just escalated, and then we were outside for like another 10 minutes just trying to help everybody calm down and resolve it all. And I think in reality, what was the point? Like, we were going to gain maybe a minute or two of extra speed to get inside, and I think in hindsight we thought it wasn't really worth causing everybody all the upset, was it?
I think it can be hard as a parent to maintain your cool when you are tired or hungry or overstimulated, which I feel like I'm always one of those, that I think sometimes it can be quite challenging, and it's not their fault at all. It's it's how we react and respond. But it can just be harder when you're already in an environment in your head that's just a bit full. And then you have to calmly say, you already know it's not good to hate. Don't do that. Talk about what's going on. Why don't you just tell me what's happening? Or, why do you want the 10th banana? What can we think of something else to eat? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's just to try and do things in a bit more of a calmly way. I've worked. I feel like I've tried really hard to do it, and I'm still not great at it. I feel like we live in a world where now, people are parenting, it's so hard. And parenting is challenging, and there's lots of small challenges that come with it. But I think there are also things that you can do to remove some of those challenges. I know we spoke about it before, but I don't think we realised how much the TV was actually impacting the stress within the household.
Mm.
And then it was only until that was gone that we realised we can actually get on with stuff, and they are fine, and it's easier because you're not going back and rewinding or changing the channel or whatever. So sometimes it's about maybe evaluating, okay, so we seem to be having sort of meltdowns around this time. Well, what is it specific to this time that's causing those meltdowns? What is it? Is it really close to dinner time? So maybe are they hungry? Is it close to bedtime? So they're tired? Is it going to school and there's a rush? I feel like sometimes it's about just stepping out and looking back. But I feel like as parents, you think you've just never got time to even do that but it's actually really helpful just to look at those things and think, okay, that must be because of this. Well, what can we do to fix that or to help that? And then obviously you help your child and you help the whole situation in general.
Yeah, I think taking stock, isn't it? Taking stock and taking time to reflect on, you know, the experience that everybody's having in the house. And, you know, if we can chop down 10% of the upsets in the house from changing how we do stuff, then yeah, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
It does really make me think and reflect on my own use of screen time, because I even can tell within myself like the differing levels of stimulation. So if I'm on my phone on social media, I feel like my brain is just fizzing and buzzing, versus if we're watching a film, it just feels like that level lower again.
Mm-hmm.
But then if we're like sat, say, I don't know, doing a jigsaw, which is still, you know, visually stimulating, it's puzzle, whatever, again, it's like lower again. And obviously it won't be the same thing for people, but, you know, like if you're painting your nails or something in the evening, or, you know, whatever it might be, it's just, I think sometimes we just get a bit too settled with how much stimulation we're giving our brain.
Mm-hmm.
And it hurts. And if we as adults can feel that, what are kids going to feel?
Yeah.
And if kids are going to feel that, how do autistic kids feel that? And it's just like this extra level of difficulty and layer of, I guess, prevention of them being able to just function. I don't mean perfectly well, but just being able to function and cope with things better.
Yeah, I mean, we've had so many comments when we've talked about, you know, getting rid of screens, or how it has helped, or how we've seen it helped an autistic child, and how we think it would help more if people would do it. There's so many times when people put like, why would you remove something that actually helps them? But I think my answer to that really is, well, how do you actually know that it is really helping them? Like in the long run, do you think that is helping them? Like my answer would be no, because screens are addictive. And you can say that they're not, but there is science that says that they actually are. You get dopamine fixes from looking at the screens. Like flipping heck, I have tried to use TikTok. I've got no idea how anyone even stands that app. Like we have it to share stuff onto it, right? But to actually use it, oh my gosh, it's like video after video after video that it's like, how do I even know what I'm even looking at, or how can I focus? You can't focus on it. But I'm like, and I'm not saying that you've got young autistic kids that are using TikTok, but you have got young autistic kids that are using iPads or phones or whatever. And even like using headphones, I feel like that's even like another level of just, you've got to think that kids and adults, I guess, that have autism, you know, there's a lot of evidence that shows that they are primarily in their own world. So even like when you go through the process of getting the diagnosis, well, that's probably one of the things as well, is that they are in their own world. Well, then if you allow them to be even more in their own world, you know, into a screen with headphones, you know, shutting out everything else, I can see how some people think that that's a good thing if they're in a stressful environment, but I think in the long term that cannot be helpful for them. Because what are they missing? What will they be missing out? Even like in a car journey. And this is not talking about just autistic kids, but kids in general. If they're just sat watching a film because you're in the car for an hour, what are they missing looking out of the window? You know, and these are things that they can learn from. And then they're just missing it because they're just looking at a screen. Same for adults. You're on a nice train ride and you're just browsing through your phone the whole time. Whenever I've gone on trains, I've never seen anyone not looking at the phone. Maybe older people. But apart from that, and then I look out and I'm like, when we take the train to England, we go like through the Lake District and it's so beautiful, even when it's raining. But no one sees it because no one's looking out of a window. Everyone's just looking down at the phone. I just think, look up and see what you can actually see. And I'm not perfect at it, and I'm not saying that I am. But what we're saying is, if it can affect adults in the way that it is definitely showing that it is, then what do you think it's actually going to do for kids, and how can you actually think that in the long term it's beneficial? Short term I can see how that's confusing, but long term it's not good.
Yeah, so let's talk about how like strategies and things we can use to just help divert that time to something that's just better.
Books
Books are awesome. Go to the library, get loads of free books. Charity shops are awesome. Get tons and tons of books. Alex is always rocking up every week or so with a massive bag of books into our tiny house, so the kids' room is just constantly filled with books.
But they go through them.
They do.
And actually I think books are great, because when we got rid of the TV, one of my worries was that both of our kids liked characters, like certain characters from the TV, and enjoyed seeing those characters on the TV. And I was like, well, how are they gonna still be able to enjoy that without it being a screen? And actually the answer was books, like Disney books, like all of the Disney films all have books, and even like characters. So like our middle child, when she was younger, liked Bing, even though I hated Bing. And still got some Bing books or Peppa Pig books. And like, for instance, like with Peppa Pig, I know we've said this before, but because they are such short episodes, that's not good for kids, because they just crave more. And it's the same as what we do as adults when we're on Instagram and watching reels, or if you're on TikTok and watching videos there. Well, you are going to crave more because the videos are so short, and you think, oh, that's not enough, give me more, give me more. And it's the same for kids with the TV, with short programs. So books is actually great because you get the program, you get the episode, but you just take your time reading it, and then there's not that dopamine fix that's involved of, right, more. And it's a way calmer way of still enjoying something that was or is on the TV, but something that you can do, and you can do it together, And like, they can't read yet, but they'll still happily look through the pictures and ask us questions, and we can't sit down and read to them all the time, but they're fine with that. And then we will read to them when they ask us to, and it's a great joint activity as well, but this was another thing with the TV, is that really when we put the TV on, it was literally used to entertain and to distract them. So I was never involved with the TV. I wasn't sat down watching Peppa Pig or Rah Rah or whatever they are. But with books, it's more of a joint activity, because often when they're reading the books by themselves independently, they will sort of say, oh, look, mummy, look at this, or ask a question, and then all of a sudden it becomes like a joint activity rather than them doing something completely by themselves. Or when I'm reading it to them, obviously I'm involved then, and I'm reading it and we're enjoying something together, and it's improving a relationship as well.
Yeah, and I find it's a little bit like exercise, isn't it? So some of you may hear that and be like, well, I'm too tired to do that. I don't have the time to do that. That takes a lot of effort. I'm already working really hard. It's like exercise, isn't it? If you go from nothing to running 5k, it's going to be really, really difficult. But, you build up, don't you? You build up your strength and your stamina, and after a couple of weeks of doing it, maybe it's not quite as difficult, and you can jog rather than just walk, and then you do it a couple more weeks and it gets easier and easier. And what happens is it doesn't make you more tired, you just increase your own capacity to cope with it and manage it better. And then I think you are better served by that as well.
Mm-hmm. I wish more people would just try it. I think people are so reluctant to try it, or convince themselves that it is the completely wrong thing to do because they don't want to try it. But I guarantee if more people tried it, you would see more success. 100%. There was such an immediate difference from when the TV was right in front of us all the time, on fairly regular, especially after school. There was such a difference once that was gone. Like, the atmosphere within the house was different. Even like speech improvement, that was massive, wasn't it? Eye contact, increased focus duration as well. Honestly, we only saw positives from doing that. And he loved, and our middle child as well loved the TV. And I at one point felt guilty for taking something away from them that they loved and they enjoyed. You know, but then someone said to me, actually it might have been Kate that had said this, that is actually hindering them. So even though they're enjoying it, it's something that's hindering them, and once you take it away, it'll actually benefit them in the long run. And I think that was the difference, because as parents, I believe we should be in a position that we can make those hard decisions and think, right, let's just try it. And we weren't completely sold, were we, until we actually tried it.
Mm-hmm.
But now once we've done it, it's we can actually talk from experience that it really, really helped.
Yeah, and it's free. You do it for free.
Yeah.
Just take your TV and, I don't know, put it in your loft, take it to a friend or a family member's house to just give it to them for a while, and a couple of weeks, see how you get on.
And it's not saying, like, when we first got rid of the TV, we didn't just, like, we prepped them for it. Like, we told them, like, 10 days before it was going, when it was going. And also, we got them some new toys, didn't we? We got our son some Lego, and we got our daughter, I think it was like, I don't know, she had like a mirror. Oh no, it was an ice cream.
I was going to say, it was like an ice cream cart thing.
Yeah. So it wasn't just like, oh, taking TV away now, good luck, you know, entertaining yourselves. We made it like this fun thing, like, okay, it's going, but what's going to be there tomorrow? There's going to be something in the corner, you know. And if you can't afford to get new things, we chose to do that because I wanted them to still have something and for it to be a positive start to a new experience. But there's charity shops and, you know, other stuff that you can do to basically, you know, in some ways replace it. But that seemed to really work. They've been fine with it. And I feel like I can see that with our son, his head's not as full since that's gone.
Yeah.
And I think, even though he's not said this, I think that he appreciates that. Because I can't imagine how it was so hard to get him to focus on anything before, and now I think he feels like he can focus on.
He's got more control, I guess.
Yeah, got way more control back.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know we'll always have a lot of people that say you're so wrong for taking away a screen from an autistic child, but I'm not. And you haven't tried it, so just try it. That's all we're saying. Oh, I can't believe you'd even suggest that to people. What, to try something for 2 weeks, see if it helps your child? I'm flipping heck, sorry. The point being, we can see how it affects adults. You can probably see it within yourself. Well, then how is it affecting your child?
Mm-hmm.
Just get rid of it and see. And for yourself, limit your screen time. You know, it can be so easy just to, even for us to have that outlet. But what did people do donkeys years ago?
Yeah.
They still survived and managed parenting without having to have, you know, any sort of social media. Social media can be very, very damaging.
We art bored. Thou must turn on thy Netflix. Ultimately, we try to make all our decisions for our family because really we want to show how much we love our kids, and we feel, you know, responsible to God because He's gave us these little spirits to look after. And we find that duty so thrilling and burdensome, not that we don't enjoy it, but that, you know, it's so important. And something that we have been reflecting on recently is how we can keep faith and keep going and keep trying, you know, regardless of our circumstances. I think that's the real challenge of life, is that we stay positive, we keep moving forwards and we keep progressing, regardless of what's going on, you know, whether or not we're on a high because we've had some great success in some areas, or we're on a low because something's not quite working out in our lives. I think something that Jesus Christ would want us to do is to love Him when times are good and love Him when times are bad. And that's what faith is, isn't it? It's when things are going great, we still love Him. But if things aren't going great, we still love Him. And what have been the blessings of that? Well, let's just say we're not always perfect at doing it, but we all know that it's the right thing to do, that we keep following Him and keep the commandments, regardless of what's going on.
The other day I was in the car by myself, and those moments are actually pretty bliss because I don't put any music on. Sometimes I'll listen to like talks given by apostles from our church, but this time I chose not to. I actually wanted to be within my own thoughts and to be able to pray with, no children, no distractions, basically. So I was driving back and I put the address in on the sat-nav to where I needed to go. And even though I roughly knew which way to go, I always put it in just to be safe because, I don't know, traffic and whatever. And knowing me, I will get lost. Anyway, started my journey and said a prayer to Heavenly Father. And I was speaking somewhat about sort of having faith in things. As I finished my prayer, someone had sort of cut right in front of me because they had just missed or was about to miss an exit. And I was like, what an idiot, why would you do that? And then I looked at my sat-nav and realised I was going off the same exit, and I was like, oh, rubbish. Then I went off the exit. But then I realised, I was like, why is it actually taking me this way? I've never been this way before, and I've done this journey quite a few times, and never have I ever gone down this road. And it was like this real small country windy road, really pretty actually, but I've just never been that way. And I was like, why would my sat-nav take me that way? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Anyway, but I thought, well, it knows the destination I need to go to, so it's going to take me to where I need to end up. It's just taking me a slightly different way than what I thought. And as I was having these thoughts, it took me a few minutes, but I felt like I'd learned a lesson from that experience, in that I have so much faith in such a small man-made device to get me from where I am to where I need to be, on the basis that I type it on my phone and it will just tell me where to go. So even though it took me a way that I would not think it should have taken me, it still ended up getting me to my destination. And then I thought, Alex, if you can have faith that something that is so small and is man-made get you from where you are to where you need to be, how can you think that Heavenly Father would take you down a road that, yeah, maybe you didn't think you were going to go down, and that's fine, but not still lead you to the destination that you need to get to? So if you can have so much faith in this little thing getting you to where you need to be, how can you doubt that Heavenly Father can't do the same thing in some ways, in, I guess on our spiritual and earthly journey? And I feel like I just learned a lot from that because, well, it's true, isn't it? Especially when it comes to having faith in really hard times, you can sometimes think, well, why have you taken me down this way? Like, this is not the way I told you I wanted to go, and this is not the way that I feel comfortable going, so why on earth would you tell me to do this thing? Well, I can't see the end. I can't see exactly where I need to go, and I can't see exactly how our lives are going to pan out, but I know, or I feel like I should have more faith in the fact that Heavenly Father does actually know, and he's not going to he's not going to take us to a place that's not where we should be at the time that we need to be there. That was my M6 lesson.
I think it's how does one develop a lifetime's worth of faith? Well, I guess it's just little by little, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Here a bit, there a bit, line by line, precept upon precept, that we learn by building through these small experiences, like you in the car on the M6 trying to find your way back home. It's maintaining that faith and trust in him regardless of what's going on. I think that's real faith, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
When times are good and when times are bad.
It's not easy.
Nope.
But it's definitely what we should do, because what's the harm in just keeping going and just thinking, well, no, I'm just gonna keep my faith, and you're better off doing that than giving up.
An awesome story I love in the scriptures about that. It's in the Old Testament about Joseph. You've all probably heard of Joseph and his big fancy coat, haven't you? His rainbow coat, his Technicolor dream coat. He's a really, really cool example of faith in good and bad times. So for those of you who don't know, Joseph was the favoured son of his father Jacob, and he also had many other brothers, and his brothers were jealous of him, and because his brothers were jealous of him, they decided, you know what, we're going to sell him into Egypt as a slave, and we're going to basically claim that he's died and tell it to our father. Anyway, they sell him into Egypt as a slave, so he goes from being, regarded in his father's house to then, becoming the most lowly person. Really, you are owned by someone. So he goes off into Egypt and gets sold to a rich man there called Potiphar. And he works in Potiphar's house for, I think it was a couple of years. Basically worked his way up in the house to become essentially like the head manager of the household. Anyway, Potiphar's wife takes a fancy to Joseph, tries to lie with him. He doesn't want to do that because he knows it's wrong. She then basically lays this whole ruse that he planned it all and he tried to sleep with her, and Potiphar obviously gets Joseph thrown in prison. So starts reasonably high, gets slave, works his way up, thrown into prison. Anyway, he's in prison. And what I find really interesting is obviously when you read historical accounts like in the Bible, you know, a couple of years might be 2 verses, or, you know, 100 years might be a chapter. So there's a specific verse in there that talks about how Joseph was in prison. And for those of you who know, you had the baker and the butler of the Pharaoh come in, who've had dreams, and he interprets their dreams for them. And the day after, the baker's taken away and executed, and the butler returns back to the Pharaoh's house and resumes his duties as he once did. And obviously before they go back, he tells them to tell Pharaoh of his gift to interpret dreams, you know, and to help him get out one day. And then it's 2 years. In the scriptures it says, and 2 years passed. How long is 2 years? And Joseph is stuck in the prison, and what happens in the prison as well, he works his way up to be trusted to take care of the other prisoners, but he's still a prisoner. Then Pharaoh has a dream and he needs it interpreted. Joseph gets called forth and he interprets the dream for Pharaoh, and then becomes the second in command in Egypt. So again, prison, back up high again. Then when he's there in Egypt and there's a famine and he has power over the food storage of Egypt, and his family come from afar, come seeking food, he obviously recognises his brothers who come along asking for food, and he tests them to see if they become better, see if they've changed, and they have, and then reveals his identity as their long lost brother, and the rest is history sort of thing. But I really love the story of Joseph, you know, going from his father's house to being a slave, working his way up as a slave through no fault of his own, no fault. Somebody accused him of a wrongdoing. He gets sent to prison. So not only does going to prison suck, he went there, it wasn't even his own fault. Then he's in there for years and years for something he didn't do. Then he's exalted in terms of in worldly stature. You know, Joseph was somebody who had faith in good and bad times. And I just find that so incredibly admirable. And you just see the fruit of that story. Joseph, in the end, is able to be put in a place where he's able to save all of his family from an atrocious famine. So had he not done that, he wouldn't have had the joy of being able to say to his family later in life, you know, yes, you can have this grain, yes, you can have this food. That allowed them all to survive and progress from there. So just saying, that's one really good example. And you see what happens when he kept his faith in Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and do you think he wouldn't have been able to know that any of that was even going to happen? And it could have been very easy for him to lose faith, especially when he got put in prison. Like, not only being rejected from your whole family is one thing, but then for them to go so far as to sell you to slavery, and then, again, no fault of his own, goes into prison. Like, I would have been like, oh my gosh, God is punishing me for something that I don't even know what for. Who knows what he learnt through those situations, from becoming a slave to even being in prison. And I think sometimes when you look back at your life, your sort of, key learning times, or things that I think I've learnt the most and has impacted my life the most, has actually been through hard times. It's been through trials. It's not been through, you know, the times where everything's smooth sailing. Like, those times are great, and I love those times. But the times when I learn something that's going to prepare me for something to come is always through a trial or a hard period in your life. So those things actually hold value, because if we didn't have those things, we wouldn't learn and we wouldn't progress. It's something to help us keep going up those ladders to get to be who we need to become, and ultimately that's like the Saviour Jesus Christ.
Don't ever forget that you are a beloved child of Heavenly Father, which means God is your Father and you are his son or daughter. And that is an important part of your identity. It is the most important part of your identity to know that you're one of God's children. And remembering that and putting that into perspective for the rest of your life, knowing that your Father created the universe and everything that in there is, and he loves you and cares for you and wants you to succeed and wants you to grow. What do we have to worry about, really?
And above all the things that he created within the universe, he created you. Actually created you, and that's because you are supposed to be here. You have a purpose, and he'll help you find what you're supposed to do while you're here on the earth to learn.
Exactly. One beautiful thing I wanted to highlight as well in Joseph's story is he has a gift to interpret dreams. So Joseph was given a God-given gift to interpret dreams. We have all been given God-given gifts. Every single one of us. If you look in the scriptures, in the Bible, in the Book of Mormon, in other scriptures, you'll find that there's many gifts that Heavenly Father has for us. You'll know things that you're good at. You'll know things that you perhaps picked up more easily than you felt you should have. You will have talents and things that other people will have noticed. It's up to us to use those talents to bless the lives of other people. Imagine if Joseph had shied away from using his talent. What would have happened then to his family? We all have gifts and talents. Let's find them, discover them, and use them.
Well, thank you so much. If you are still here at this point, thank you so much for listening.
All your support is massively appreciated. Obviously, we're trying to get this channel out to as many people as we can. Try and share positive messages about all sorts of things. Please share it. It really helps us out and just keeps us boosted and going. So really appreciate your support. Thanks for listening, and hope you have a good car journey, evening, or wherever you're listening to this.
Comment your thoughts. Let us know what you think. Ways we could improve as well. We're always up for criticism. Well, I am anyway.
Yeah, and we'll just give it back to you as well if we think your comments are rubbish.
Even harder. No, we won't. Well, maybe. Anyway, but yeah, thanks, and we'll see you next time.
See you later. Thank you.
See you later. Bye.
Goodbye.